Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that introduction. And I'm just going to cap this video off by reading a couple things that I really want you to get a hold of here and to understand the days and times we're going to be getting into. Um, this whole Second Amendment thing. See, this isn't really a Second Amendment issue. There are numerous countries that have the right to bear arms, that have, with their citizens having the right to bear arms. It's not just America, folks. And history tells us the story. All right, history tells us the story, and this is what the people at the top are pushing for: this gun grabbing and gun control. Well, here is a JPFO genocide chart. Okay, this is derived from the JPFO website page. Okay, I will provide a link to you for you below. Has a printer-friendly option. The complete web page is accompanied by a detailed promotion of the Death by Gun Control book written by Aaron Zellman and Richard W. Stevens. It works on a level that nobody can dispute documented world history. Okay? Here's the formula. Hatred plus government plus disarmed citizens equals genocide. Or, in another way, you could put it this way. The governments, they create the problem, they come up with a solution, and then you have the synthesis at the end, which is evidently, at the crux of the matter is order out of chaos. And clearly this is what we have been seeing in the Sandy Hook shooting and a couple of shootings that happened afterwards. Okay? That's what they're trying to do. And after they disarm the citizens, genocide always ensues, according to history. And it's going to be the same way again if it happens here, which chances are it's going to. What makes the argument so powerful? Two factors. First, it makes common sense unarmed, defenseless people have no hope against armed aggressors. Second, it states the historical truth. Evil governments did wipe out over 170 million innocent non-military lives in the 20th century alone. Just in the 20th century. You can see the film Innocence Betrayed for further chilling evidence, also available from the JPFO store. When the gun prohibitionists quote a statistic about how many people are killed by firearms misuse, the discussion sometimes bogs down into whose crime statistics to believe and how to count crimes versus the defensive firearm uses, which is clearly what you have in the media. You got a huge media blackout of all these people of these individuals who have concealed carry, pulling out their firearms, and then totally minimizing, or if not getting rid of, the possible massacre that could have ensued, like the theater in Texas, the Oregon shooting. Okay, that's been totally blacked out by the mainstream media because all they want you to do is to make you in fear that, hey, we need to get rid of guns. These guns, they grow legs and they go into these places and kill people. And so, all in all, what it is a push to basically disarm law-abiding citizens, and so that they can be totally dependent on the government, in which the government can therefore come in and basically do whatever the hill of beans they want to do to you. Okay? In the 20th century, governments murdered 4 times as many civilians as were killed in all the international and domestic wars combined. Governments murdered millions more people than were killed by the common criminals. Here's just a couple of them right here. Ottoman and Turkey from 1915 to 1917. The targets were Armenian, mostly Christians, 1 to 1.5 million people. The gun control laws were a pen code in 1866 and 1911, a proclamation in 1915. So, right around that time period, this law started to get enacted in 1866, and then in 1915 through 1917, this happened, 1 to 1.5 million. Features of overall gun control scheme was permits required, government list of owners, ban on possessions. Soviet Union, 1929 to 1945. Targets, political opponents, farming communities. That almost sounds like today, doesn't it? Civilians killed, 20 million. Gun control laws, resolutions, 1918, decree, July 12, 1920. Article 59 and 182, Penn Code, 1926. And then the killing basically started in 1929. The features of overall gun control scheme is licensing of owners, ban on possessions, severe penalties. Same thing that's going on today. Same exact thing. Nazi Germany and occupied Europe, 1933 to 1945. Targets, political opponents, Jews, gypsies, critics. Examples, 20 million people. Gun control laws. Laws on firearms and ammunition, 1928. Weapon law, March 18, 1938. Regs against Jews, 1938. And the killing basically started between 1933 and 1945. The features of overall gun control scheme, registration and licensing, stricter handgun laws, ban on possessions. Okay. China nationalists, 1927 to 1949. Political opponents and army conscripts and others. Those were the targets. Civilians killed, 40 million. Article 205, Crime Code, 1914. Article 186, Crime Codes, 1935. Features of overall gun control schemes, government permit systems, ban on private ownership. Over and over and over again, folks. When this stuff gets put into action, genocide will always ensue. And this is what's coming down the pike. You want to call this fear-mongering? Go right ahead. I really don't care, because this is history, folks. You learn from history. And if you don't, well, you're doomed to repeat it. You know, this is the facts. This is all I'm presenting to you is the facts. Okay? And, now here's a perspective that you can also look at. This is from Intel Hub. Another perspective, arm the teachers and school staff. In the wake of any sort of public shooting, the question is always asked, what can we possibly do to prevent this from happening in the future? When that question is asked, the most popular answers are sadly always filled with misinformed gun control rhetoric. Many people suggest that if the governments were to force all citizens to turn in all their guns, that this will somehow take away the criminal's ability to inflict harm on people. The very naive assumption is based on the idea that a government actually has the ability to successfully prohibit items, which when looking at the drug war, they obviously are not able to prevent people from possessing, selling, or manufacturing any item. Rather, they are only able to impose stricter sentences on someone should they be caught violating said prohibition. This is not only false hope, but a false solution as well, allowing people to believe that the problem has been solved, when in fact nothing has been solved. Politicians have merely scrawled more words onto paper and made more threats. In reality, they have done nothing to solve the problem. If someone were to truly want to solve the problem of school shootings, they would allow various random staff members to carry guns and post signs allowing intruders and potentially violent students to know that they will not get very far if they plan on carrying out an attack. So all of these gun-free zones, what is that? That's like basically a magnet saying, okay, criminals, come and get me. I'm defenseless. You can go and shoot whatever you want to shoot. And, you know, we'll just have to wait 5 or 6 minutes for the cops to get here so they can save us after 30 people have already been killed. That's what those gun-free zones do. Okay? This right here was from a national news article I took a snippet from. And this was from a St. Louis, Missouri law enforcement officer. I think he was the chief. Yeah, Chief Tom Fitch. Who knows if he has a job now after making this statement. And he goes, quote, "We can talk on the back end of the need for funding or mental illness programs and gun control. But as a law enforcement officer, I'm focused on that 5-minute window that it takes for the cops to get there while people are getting killed," said Chief Tom Filch. There's somebody out there right now trying to figure out how to do something worse than this guy did, and there's only one way to end a threat, and that's with lethal force. Fitch's suggestion isn't as bold as it is timely, no less than President Barack Obama himself said during a memorial in Newtown, Connecticut, earlier this week, cited the most recent shooting, where he said, quote, "We can't tolerate this anymore. These tragedies must end, and to end them, we must change. No single law, no set of laws can eliminate evil from the world or prevent every senseless act of violence in our society. But that can't be an excuse for inaction. Surely we can do better than this. If there is even one step we can take to save another child," which Obama doesn't care two poops about saving another child. Give me a break. Or another parent or another town from the grief that was visited in Tucson and Aurora and Oak Creek and Newtown, and communities from Columbine to Blacksburg before that, then surely we have an obligation to try. If that isn't doublespeak or hypocrisy, I don't know what is. This is taken from contendingfortruth.com PDF, from a audio sermon, Slaughter of the Innocents, by Pastor Adams, Sam Adams, I believe. And he goes on to say this. Shortly after the news of the massacre dominated the network media this past Friday, President Obama appeared on network TV to make a scripted, emotional speech that was very well written and fairly well presented, but sadly overshadowed and nullified by the gross hypocrisy of the one who presented it, which is extreme hypocrisy. This guy doesn't care about your kids. He doesn't care about your children, okay? This audio message explains why Obama's expression of sympathy for innocent victims was a deception, but also what Obama must do if he wants to prove to this nation that he cares about the lives of innocent victims. If Obama means what he says and truly plans to take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of the politics, then guess what? He must start by ending the mindless slaughter of millions of other innocent victims for which he bears personal responsibility. From the daily slaughter of thousands of innocent unborn children to the slaughter of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians in illegal foreign wars. Victims who also, in Obama's words, had their entire lives ahead of them. That's what he said in that speech. Yeah, what about those kids over there in the Middle East? What about in Syria, that your rebels, Al-Qaeda and your rebels who you're funding, who are killing millions, thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians, children? Don't they have their entire lives ahead of them too? Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own. And if Obama means what he says, he must also begin an initiative to fix the very public schools that caused this epidemic. And this is a biggie. When they replace the Bible, prayer, and creation science in the classrooms with their godless religion of atheistic evolution. Okay. I mean, the problem is easily solvable. Arm the faculty. That's it. That's it. Case closed right there. But no, the media doesn't want you to hear anything about that. One more. This is from our lovely 501c3 corporate church. Religious leaders push congregants on gun control, sensing a watershed moment. Before I get to that, I want to get to one more here. Before this. Yeah, this one right here. This is from WorldNet Daily from April 19, 2007. A 25 years murder-free in Guntown, USA. And it's still counting. As the nation debates whether more guns or fewer can prevent tragedies like the Virginia Tech massacre, a notable anniversary passed last month in a Georgia town that witnessed a dramatic plunge in crime and violence after mandating residents to own firearms. In March 1982, 25 years ago, the small town of Kennesaw, responding to a handgun ban in Morton Grove, Illinois, unanimously passed an ordinance requiring requiring each head of household to own and maintain a gun. Guess what? Since then, that little town over there in Georgia, in Kennesaw, despite dire predictions of Wild West, showdowns, and increased violence and accidents, which is what the mainstream media were saying, oh, if you do that, it's going to be, yeah. Not a single resident has been involved in a fatal shooting as a victim, attacker, or defender. Not one. And it's still going strong today. I would definitely be for a little law like that if it was passed around here. Definitely. For sure. The crime rate initially plummeted for several years after the passage of the ordinance, with the 2005 per capita crime rate actually significantly lower than it was in 1981, the year before the passage of the law. So what do you guys say about that? Okay. But no, you got a huge media blackout with this type of stuff, and because all they want to do is create fear and create the propaganda that the guns are bad. The guns are bad. We have to get rid of the guns. There is more death by car accidents than there are by guns each year. So what? Do we have to ban cars? What about the knife stabbing in China? So do we have to ban knives? Why not? The point of what I'm trying to say is this is so idiotic, so stupid, what these stupid politicians are pushing. Now, from our lovely 501c3 corporate church, this one's good. Religious leaders push congregants on gun control, sensing a watershed moment, out of New York Times. Religious leaders across the country this week vowed to mobilize their congregants to push for gun control legislation and provide the ground support for politicians willing to take on the gun lobby. Oh, okay. Saying the time has come for action beyond praying and comforting the families of those killed. The group of clergy members representing mainline and evangelical Protestants, Catholics, Jews, and Muslims plans to lead off the campaign in front of the Washington National Cathedral at an event on Friday, which already happened. Time to mark the moment a week before when a young gunman opened fire in a school in Newtown, Connecticut. The cathedral will toll its funeral bell 28 times, once for each victim, including 20 children, 6 teachers and school administrators, and the mother of the killer, as well as a gunman, 20-year-old Adam Lanza, who shot and killed himself. This is so disgusting. Everyone in this city seems to be in terror of the gun lobby, but I believe the gun lobby is no match for the cross lobby. Give me a break. Maybe your inverted cross lobby, who knows? Said the very Reverend Gary Hall. Really? Dean from the Washington National Cathedral in an impassioned sermon on Sunday that has become a rallying cry for gun control. People in the cathedral's pew rose and applauded. Okay, well, let's take a look at this whole very reverend, okay? Number one, the only time reverend appears in the Bible, it is declared only towards God himself. Men or man are not supposed to be reverend. They're not supposed to be considered reverend. That is not a title for man. Psalm 111:9, he sent redemption unto his people. He hath commanded his covenant forever. Holy and reverend is his name. Not some serpent water spewing preacher, spewing serpent water about gun control. Jeremiah 48:10, cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. Ooh. Jeremiah 5:25-31. This is what I got to say to these 501c3 corporate church members that gave this sermon. Your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares, they set a trap, they catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat, they shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge. Shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means, and my people love to have it so. And what will you do in the end thereof? See, that's basically the crux of the matter. Is you got these religious leaders coming out and spewing this, basically setting a trap for every law-abiding citizen regarding this whole gun control thing. And the whole gun control thing is basically to take guns away from law-abiding citizens rather than to take guns away from the criminals. Because if you take guns away from the law-abiding citizens, guess what? It's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem, and that's what they want. They want maximum fear, maximum chaos, so they can have their new world order out of the chaos of the old world order. That is what's being set forth, and that is the agenda that is ensuing. That's it. So when I emphasize strongly that turning in your guns or a gun confiscation law is against against what the Bible teaches, that's why I'm saying it. Because number one, it's not for ourselves. It's not to defend ourselves. Okay? For he who seeks to save his own life will lose it. No. The main focus for us is to defend those that cannot defend themselves. And defend your own household by providing for them a means of defense. Not like defending your own self to save your own hide. That's not what I'm talking about. Folks, we are to endure till the end. That means we are supposed to be sober and be vigilant. It means we're supposed to be smart. Not cower down in a corner while the big bad guys come and take everybody away and pillage and rape your children and your wife and these types of things. No. There's no Bible for that at all. None. So, and here's another terror at Southwest Side movie theater as gunman patron shot in lobby. 2 people are hospitalized after a gunman chased terrified restaurant patrons into the lobby of the Santikos Mayan 14 movie theater during a showing of The Hobbit last night at 1200 WOAI News reports. Police detectives and sheriffs and investigators say the incident started in the China Garden restaurant on Southwest Military Drive about 9 p.m. Sunday when an employee of the restaurant walked in looking for a woman. And it goes on further. The officer involved in this, she took the appropriate action to try to keep everyone safe in the movie theater. Okay. He opened fire, shooting one man in the chest before N2 says an off-duty sheriff's deputy who was working security at the theater shot him once. Okay, right there. But is this going to get any mainstream media attention because of that? No, it's not. All they care about is getting rid of these guns that are so dangerous because these guns are going to sprout little legs and walk in and kill everybody. You know. So, but that's basically all I have for this. And so until next time, guys, truth be told, truth be known, stay safe, God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.